So today's talk is titled Giving, an Act of Faith. So first of all, what is faith? Now, dictionary definitions include belief, conviction that a thing unproved is by evidence is true, trust as in God or in someone's purity of motive, especially trust in God and his goodness. And a scriptural definition could be faith is the assurance that the things revealed and promised by the word are true, even though unseen, and gives the believer a conviction that what they expect in faith will come to pass. In other words, it becomes so tangible that you now possess it. If we could see and touch these things, these tangible and physical entities, we would not need faith, for they would already be true. It is faith that gives us the knowledge that they are true. So what had happened to Jesus leading up to this point? He'd had a busy and challenging few days, and these were his final days before his crucifixion, and he was challenged by many teachers and priests. They see him as a troublemaker, a revolutionary, challenging their comfortable way of living their daily lives. In the preceding chapters of Luke, we read that the Pharisees criticized Jesus' disciples for their praise at the triumphal entry. As he came down from the Mount of Olives to cross the Kidron Valley and go on up towards the temple, his followers were praising him joyfully for all the miracles they had seen. And then when he gets to the temple, he drives out the sellers from the temple and he says, "This is a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." The chief priests, the teachers of the law, and leaders constantly plot to kill him, but they could not find a way to do it because all the people hung on to his words. Other people challenged his authority to teach, but they were unable to answer his test in question. They then challenged him about paying taxes to Caesar, but he said, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." The Sadducees challenge him about the resurrection and marriage, but he answers wisely, outwitting them, and some say, "Well said, teacher." So he astonishes them all by his answers, and then in the temple, he looks up. Despite all these issues pressing against him, Jesus continues his teaching. So he's in the temple and he's near the court of women, which in the diagram is that green space, and it's quite a significant part of the temple. So from Luke 21, verse 1 says, "As he looked up, Jesus saw rich people putting their gifts into the treasury." Now, the collection pots in the temple, we're led to believe, were trumpet-shaped, and there would have been several distributed around the courts. Verse 2 tells us that he also saw a poor widow put in 2 small copper coins. Despite all the challenges that he's facing, Jesus has spotted this poor widow and again uses observations from everyday life to continue his teaching. Jesus turns the idea of wealth on its head in Luke 21, verse 3. He said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all the others." His disciples were probably baffled by this statement. These coins, often referred to as mites, were reckoned to be worth about 1/128th of a day's wages, so probably about £1 or so in today's money. But Jesus recognizes the proportional giving aspect of her gift, the sacrifice that this means to her, and how much faith in God to provide for her that she has given all that she has. Jesus recognizes her deep faith in God. In verse 4, it says, "All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on." Now, Jesus is not chastising the wealthy for what they have offered, but he is praising this poor widow for showing her tremendous faith in God to provide for her, that she would give all she had, no matter how little that was. We often refer to this aspect of giving as faith-filled giving. So the widow demonstrates 3 aspects of giving here. Proportional giving, in this case, in the extreme. She has given 100% of what little wealth she had, all her money. Jesus does not despise the rich for giving a smaller proportion out of their wealth, but proportional giving is at the root of tithing, and in the Old Testament it talks of tithing at 10%. Now, she also demonstrates sacrificial giving. By giving all she has, the poor widow is giving up or sacrificing what she could have bought with these coins. What will she be going without? Perhaps her next meal. Does she then need to beg to survive? Or does she have a kind neighbor or family that provides for her? We don't know. But how does her sacrifice compare to that of a rich person who might go without some minor luxuries? The important thing that she displays is her faith-filled giving. God does not despise her small gift, and neither does Jesus. Instead, Jesus points her out to his disciples as an example of a person with true and deep faith. The widow has given all that she had in faith, the faith that she can put her trust in God to provide for her needs. How much more faith did she show than her rich counterparts, that she gave all that she had? So what is faith-filled giving? Well, faith-filled giving comes from knowing God, trusting in God's love, and knowing that he welcomes your gift, no matter how big or small, because he knows what is in your heart. As you know and love God, you realize that you want to give what you can. Faith-filled giving is giving and not knowing exactly how God will provide after you give. This involves trusting that God will provide for you in the days to follow, so that you will be able to continue your giving in future. The size of the gift is not an issue with God. He does not despise her small gift, neither does Jesus. Jesus recognized her gift as an example of true and deep faith. The widow has given all that she had in faith, the faith that she can put total trust in God to provide for her needs. God does not encourage foolish giving, but welcomes people who give what they are able. Jesus is not saying that everyone should give all they have, as this widow did, but to give what they are able in the knowledge that God will provide for them to give again. The Bible teaches the principle of sowing and reaping. Regarding our giving, Paul wrote, "Remember this, who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously." Taken from 2 Corinthians 9, verse 6. Giving is an opportunity to support what we believe in, to see it continue, prosper and grow, to have fellowship with others in a common cause, to share God's blessings, and to use our resource to do good. So please join me in this prayer as written on the screen. Lord, help us to be generous and to share the many gifts you have bestowed on us. Help us to help those who cannot help themselves. Teach us how to give and not count the cost. We ask God for an open heart, ready to give generously in faith, as shown by this poor widow of the gospel. Amen.